need you to listen, I need you to hear, and don't show any fear. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight, we will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight, yeah. We are heroes tonight, we will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight, town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Monday Night Podcast here on the Josh YouTube channel. It is a Josh and Reese podcast. I have no clue what episode we're on now, but we're just going to keep rocking and rolling and seeing where we end up. Before I introduce my amazing panel, we are missing two people. One understands the audio, one decided not to turn up. Thank you very much, everyone, for 100 subscribers. We spent last night. Obviously, I reached like 10 o'clock last night. I wasn't going to post about it, but I do appreciate everyone for all the amazing support and unfortunately we keep on going. But also, so I've got my amazing panel here with us this evening. So we have got my co-host Reese. How you doing, Reese?
Yeah, I'm alright, man. How's it going?
We've got Nathan. We've got Ranty Nathan today. Last week we had a very smiling, happy, a joyful Nathan, and this week he's very, very angry. But Nathan, besides the wheels thing, how are you feeling?
Yeah, not bad, thank you, mate. It's all good. Apart from that, I'm just absolutely furious over Saturday, honestly.
And making his first appearance on the channel, it is Owen from Cop On. Mr. Thomas, how you doing?
Absolute delight to be here. Thank you for inviting me. Yes, I'm very well. Thank you very much. I'm also a Wales fan. So, yes, that refereeing performance left me a little bit of a knot in my stomach. But, yeah, apart from that, splendid. Thank you very much. Very well.
Well, so just for everyone who's probably very much aware that it's currently Spain 3, Croatia 3. Spain were 3-1 up, and Croatia scored 2 goals in the last 6 minutes to equalise. That game is currently into extra time. So I had Croatia to go free in that game, but I never thought it was going to be a free each. Never in a million years thought it was going to be a free each. But we are going to start off with the first topic, and it is Wales falling apart. Wales at the group stage, Nathan, were very good.
Phenomenal.
They were
second to none.
Organised very, very well. So a great attacking play. The first opening 15 minutes against Denmark, you looked like you had a game plan. You looked like you were set up. But after that, it seems like Robert Page just had no answer for what Denmark were throwing at him.
I wouldn't say it was Rob Page's fault originally. I would just completely say that the players just didn't give enough. They just did not perform on the day, especially towards the back as well. But that absolute prat of a referee that we had, and I'll get on to UEFA later because I have a massive thing against them at the moment, just completely ruined it for us. And we ever since that second goal went in, which should not have stood at all, Kiefer Moore clearly got fouled. Yes, you could say Nico Williams made the mistake, but that wouldn't have happened if the referee actually had a brain and ruled out that goal. The worst thing for me was that it went to VAR. Then the third goal, obviously, we couldn't do anything about that. Poor defending performance again. And then straight after that, Harry Wilson red card. Not a red card in a million years. He barely made contact with the man. In any other league or in any other competition with any other partially sane referee would have given that a yellow under any circumstances. And then that fourth goal. Any human clearly, you don't need VAR. Any human with their eyes could see that was offside. How did they give that? How did they give that onside? Honestly. My brain is frazzled.
As someone who works with referees over in France, I don't know if you've had a chance to speak to him or not, but from you get a good understanding from a referee's point of view. Do you see why a red card was given on Harry Wilson?
Well, I had a look at the. I haven't spoken to my students yet. I mean, my students are like I've got one who's like the head of refereeing in France, basically, and another one who's the head of VAR in France. And I haven't spoken to them since the Wales match but I will, when they in the next lesson. But basically, yeah. I mean, in the rules of the game, it's. I mean, everybody knows probably, but it's the organisation's called IFAB or IFAB, who's the International Federation. They're the ones who set the rules of the game. And in the rules of the game for red cards, the only criteria it could have been is violent conduct. And I think, I mean, a couple of people I've spoken to who are not Wales fans, they said, well, it was pretty violent because he had no intention of playing the ball. But I would say there was violent intent. Like he wanted to kick the guy.
He wanted to get stuck in, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of his intention was violent. He was obviously a bit petulant, a bad loser and all that stuff. It was a bad challenge, but the actual impact was not violent at all. It was tiny. Yeah. So, I mean, like most referees would have given a yellow card because it was a yellow card offence. And to suggest that it was violent conduct, I find that a bit of a stretch.
I don't want to sound controversial, but to be fair, I usually am. I think it was a red card.
Really?
I actually agree with the violent conduct part of it.
No, but I disagree.
But what I'm saying is I agree with the whole concept of like the violent conduct, and I think you've got it absolutely spot on as usual. But the one thing I disagree with though is the red card decision. Like I believe it was a red card, but the reason I disagree with it is exactly you pointed out. It was such minimal contact. It was like you go up to your friend and you're play fighting on a trampoline, like you used to do as kids, like play wrestling. It was like that. It's like instead of going to like crack them one, it's just it's soft, and that's what that looked like. It was soft. But to be fair, the referee has got to show authority there as well. The fact that it went to VAR and then the referee, well, to a degree, pussied out as well at the same time doesn't help, especially because people are always going at VAR every single week. They're always going at VAR for this, going at VAR for that, and then they blame the ref for this, blame the ref for that. This should have been the perfect example of a referee and VAR actually working brilliantly together. Like
I'll tell you one thing, Reece.
It didn't.
That referee did not go to the monitor once.
He's an asshole.
He was listening to the idiots on the phone who what were they using 240p screens or something to look at these decisions? I mean, with a marginal offside decision like that, sorry to interrupt, Owen, but he should have gone over to the screen and looked at it himself. He did not do that. He listened to the people on the phone. Bearing in mind, I have another thing to pick about this referee, and I was actually doing some digging around it.
He's got previous.
He has connections to Denmark.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, really?
It's completely disgusting.
Wow.
And that's not even the only thing I have against UEFA, which I will obviously get onto later, which I said a lot in the watch-along over the weekend.
Yeah. We're all against UEFA, but to be fair, I can see why Owen's saying the violent conduct and
Yes.
there was no there was no actually dangerous activity. It's just they've given a red card because of what he's intended to do, and I think that's right. But the problem is, you cannot just go and give a red card for something like that when there's been other challenges so far in the tournament that's, to be fair, more dangerous than that. I thought that was quite weak. And as soon as we get to the Holland game, you're going to find out exactly how I feel regarding the VAR decisions, because there was a fair few in that game as well. But hell, everyone knows you can't last 26 seconds in the modern world now. You've got to at least last a couple hours.
Well, no. On the VAR and checking with VAR, okay, we got to be really, really clear about what it's for according to the rules at the moment. Okay, worldwide, what it's for, they're going to check everything in the match, but only thing, I mean, there are a lot of subjective calls in football, right? There are a hell of a lot. And something like the red card offence, it was subjective. I mean, you know, Reese is saying you agree with it because there was violent intent, and so it was violent conduct, so it's a red card. Absolutely, which is fair enough. But you can see as well, Reese, that other people would disagree. I mean, even non-Welsh fans like me and Nathan could, you know, say a yellow would have been a fairer card. So this is a subjective decision.
I can see why a yellow card is fair, and frankly, I wouldn't disagree with a yellow card being awarded. But I can see why a red card was given, because there was intent there to cause harm. It just was minimal harm. It wasn't serious.
Yeah, so the problem is the intent was there, and you could say the intent was there, but the action didn't happen. And another a yellow should be given then.
But
you could say as well. Sorry to interrupt again, but he could have ended up going for the ball, and he could have just been delayed as another scenario.
You're absolutely right. But that's the thing. This is the nature of it. It's subjective. So when it's subjective like this, VAR will not overturn a referee's decision. They will never overturn a referee's decision. The VAR could have said, I think you should look at it in the monitor to be sure. But then by asking the referee to look at it in the monitor, it's asking the referee to change his mind on a subjective decision, which they won't do. They will never do. Because the VAR's looked at it and they've seen the VAR's looked at it and they've seen that the referee's made a call and red card.
Well, here's the question. Here's a good question. And does this show that the laws of the game are not clear enough that each referee has their own interpretation of a foul instead of it being black and white in paper for what it should be and for what it shouldn't be?
No, football is not a black and white game. You can't do it. I urge you to watch absolutely any match from a referee's point of view, which is what I've been doing in my lessons with these people. And it's really, really hard because so much of it, by its nature, is subjective. There are, like probably 50 or 60%, even 70% of the decisions in any match are going to be like where the referee chooses to draw a line. It's the part of football. It's the nature of the game. You can't make black and white from these grey areas.
Hi, Helen, and hello, Richard. How you doing, my man?
I get that completely. To be honest, I get what you mean, because we all slag off refs once in a while. We're all known for it. We've all slagged off a ref once in a while. It's funny, but there are times where even like a referee, they've got so many things to do in 90 minutes. Sometimes longer, depending on the competition itself, where even one mistake and they get absolutely slated for it. He has made a very controversial decision. The only thing is, how do teams react? Obviously, it was a red card, and in all respect to Nathan, you're a bud, Wales, and all that shit. But in all respect to Wales, when they went down 10 men, how did they react? They didn't react the way they should have done.
Terribly.
You reacted terribly. You didn't respond well. And to be fair, you're not the only team that reacted badly to a red card this weekend. This past weekend, the Dutch were just as bad.
Very true. Very true. After that, the next handball.
Exactly. So it's not just Wales are going to get absolute slaughter for a red card. The Dutch will be getting battered as soon as I get to them. So,
well, yeah, I mean,
taking the red card out of it. The first 15 minutes, Wales were really, really promising. But taking the referee's decision out of it, was it the fact that Denmark just grew into the game and got better, or
yes,
Did Wales just struggle to adapt, or did legginess come into it?
Spain
I think after the second goal as well, when
Spain have scored 4-3.
Yeah, I've just seen it.
No, I think you're spot on. Like, you've literally already answered it without even asking your question, like complete question. Denmark grew into the game. Wales could have been 1 or 2-0 up in the first 15 minutes. They didn't take their chances. Denmark, they're such a resilient team, and I've said everywhere I've been the past couple of weeks, I've been on multiple streams, I've said Denmark can reach the final if they want to. I don't think they will, but they could. But the thing about this Croatia team is they've went through a tragedy in their group stage game, and they have built on that. They have built on the Ericsson tragedy.
You mean Denmark, by the way, not Croatia.
You know what? Yeah, Denmark. You know what I meant. Like, they've built on this, and that can be such a powerful factor.
But what I will say as well with Wales, every time that a massive decision goes against us or something major happens, we just, for some reason, cannot bounce back in a game.
Well, Wales are not very good, though, Nathan. I mean, I'm a Wales fan. You can't get carried away. We sort of played one great match against Belgium when Hal Robson-Kanu turned into, Brian Robson and Pele combined. But we were, we drew 0-0 with Albania before the tournament started, and the commentators were like, "Oh, that's a bad result." But it's not a question of resting place. It's just like Wales are not very good. Like, we're not very good. I don't know how you feel about it, but for me, I was very happy to get out of the group stages. Yeah. I think we were unlucky, but we deserved to lose that match, probably at least 2-0, because we're not very good.
Yeah, but I mean, all I can say about, and this is building on from it as well. 10 years ago, after we got absolutely annihilated by Russia, and all the media was saying we should just dissolve the Welsh national team, to 10 years later, saying that we got to a European semi-final and getting out of our group yet again in 2 successive tournaments, I would have bitten your arm off. And as well, and on top of that, leaving the Millennium Stadium and basically never playing there again. Because apart from I've seen games at that stadium, and ever since we've left it, it has been phenomenal.
Maybe you need Chris Coleman back.
No,
just before we continue on, we need to bring in the piece of furniture that is Doug from the channel. Hello, Doug.
Hello, how we doing?
Around a Wales rant at the moment, so currently the process.
Well, apologies, I'm late. As you can tell, I am very, very choked up. Hay fever is absolutely havoc today. I've been out where basically the cut grass is, so yeah, bear with me. What I will say though, I think I'm gonna be slightly controversial as well. I thought Harry Wilson deserved to be sent off. I hate to say it, but I thought there was intent there.
5-3.
Yeah, 5-3.
Yep, they've just scored again.
Wow.
Good grief.
If it's Morata, I'm going to shoot myself.
Game of the tournament. Game of the tournament.
Yeah.
But yeah,
until tomorrow at 5 o'clock.
I think Harry Wilson deserved to go. There was intent there, but yeah, you can say that it was. There wasn't enough for me for it to be violent conduct, if you know what I mean.
There wasn't enough, but you can see why he's given it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Similar view. I've had the exact.
Yeah. But I mean, if it's violent conduct, it's violent conduct. That's up to.
These things have been missed throughout the tournament as well. Like I said in the Italy-Wales game, Verratti should have been sent off. Mm-hmm. Like he had the exact similar circumstance. He should have been sent off. But
we just
Pepe should have gone last night. Pepe should have gone last night.
At least they're gone now.
If you're sending Harry Wilson off for something as soft as that, then what Pepe did was as cynical as ever.
But I'll ask you this though.
What Pepe did was make a tuna sandwich look like a gammon steak.
Okay.
So Nathan, to ask you, right? So, in terms of Wales in this tournament, right? So Wales had to go to Baku to play Switzerland. And then you had to, and then you had to play.
We played 2 games in Baku.
You played Turkey and Baku, and then you had to travel. And then you had to travel to the Stadio Olimpico to play Italy, and then you had to travel to Amsterdam to play Denmark. Then, so you had all those travels. Obviously, traveling from Baku to Denmark is not a very from Italy to Denmark to Baku is not a very short journey. It's a long journey, big time differences. The Welsh government obviously were not allowing fans to go to any of these games because of COVID restrictions. Was UEFA completely unfair by not letting Wales play a game in a country where fans could go and have less traveling times? Because you would have had to go to Baku again if you bet Denmark too, which would have been ridiculous.
I think it's absolutely disgusting by UEFA, quite frankly, and especially with the the game in the Netherlands, where they wouldn't allow fans across the border. They should have moved that game. They should have done everything in their power to ensure that they get fans in. I mean, why would you take matches off Dublin because they wouldn't let fans in, yet you're doing exactly the same to Wales, not letting them in, and you're making the game still be played, even though you got basically a stadium full of Danish fans. And I will say one thing as well. I want to know the exact reason why the complete wobbly jelly that is our First Minister Mark Drakeford did not push UEFA on this matter. He literally advised fans not to travel as usual and watch it from home. And he said that it's a poor decision. But why don't you push it on them? Why don't you get them to move the game or encourage them to move the game and not just leave it statically there? It's ridiculous.
Weak-minded.
It is.
Thank you, Helen.
We've got this to go for the next 5 years as well, which drives me absolutely crazy. And he should have done something at the start.
It says it all, really, that Scotland went one of the seeded. If you weren't a seeded team, you were given home games. That's why we were given 2 games at Hampden Park, and Hampden is being used in the last 16 in the quarterfinals. Yes. It is being used. At least after the quarterfinals, there'll be no more Baku for the rest of the tournament.
Baku should never been used in the first place.
It's too far.
I really want to know.
It's not fair to anyone in the tournament.
Why they eliminated the Millennium Stadium when they literally had a successful Champions League final in 2017, which you could say was one of the best hosted Champions League final. I'm trying not to be biased here.
Super Cup as well.
Very true, and the Super Cup in the Cardiff City Stadium, and the Women's Champions League final, which was probably one of the best venues for it as well.
Correct.
And they give it to Baku.
Well,
when it was a disaster for the Europa League. What are you thinking?
The Europa League was a disaster for the Europa League, I should point out. The game, how is Denmark going to get? Denmark fans going to get? How's Denmark going to get ticket? How are Denmark fans meant to travel to Baku within 4 or 5 days' notice when getting to Baku in the first place? It's like near enough impossible. The game's going to be dead.
Put it this way for you, money. That's so all they care about, and they haven't cared about the fans in this tournament. I hope when Euro 2020 is finished, even though it's 2021, that they just get this format of a tournament in a bin bag and throw it into the atmosphere. It is
Two
shocking.
countries is enough. Two countries is enough. I liked it when they done it in 2008 when it was hosted by Austria and Switzerland. It was perfect. World Cup in 2002, it was hosted by South Korea and Japan. Perfect. Euro 2000, Holland. 1 or 2 countries is enough. True. 12 countries. 12 fucking countries. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, that is just going way over the top. The fact that you've got like 12 countries instead of 1 or 2. Like, I've always known the Euros or the World Cup to be 1 or 2 countries, but the fact is we've got 12 countries in Euro 2020. It's ridiculous. But what I will say though, I think the Copenhagen Stadium has been one of the best stadiums at Euro 2020. The passion.
Budapest as well. My favourite.
Just on let's go through all the stadiums very quickly and let's see how many are good. So Wembley was dead for Austria, and there was no atmosphere.
Also, it's hosting too many games, and they took off. They had the Aviva Stadium games, and they had the Millennium Stadium games.
There's no atmosphere at Wembley.
Exactly.
Wembley's been dead for years, and people think England are going to win tomorrow in front of 40,000.
There is more atmosphere at Hampden Park than there is at Wembley.
What about Hampden Park? What do you think about the atmosphere for those games?
Hampden Park was perfect.
Fantastic. I think it's been fantastic. I think it'll be rocking tomorrow for Sweden, Ukraine. I really do.
Hampden Park's like 35, 40 miles from me, and you could probably hear the atmosphere from here. That's how loud it's been.
Romania?
Not so much, really, personally.
It's been a disappointment, but I had high hopes for that ground. But if they would have let a few more fans in and made it a bit easier to travel, then that would have been great. But if that stadium was in somewhere like France or somewhere like that, it would have been great.
For me, the best ones have been Hampden Park, Puskás Arena.
What about St. Petersburg?
No.
No, dead.
Johan Cruyff Arena?
No.
Cruyff Arena was very unfair in the. I mean, it's not so much the venue's fault, but it's the government who run it. It's the Dutch government's fault because they're picking and choosing who they let in, and I think that's disgusting.
Stade Olympico?
Brilliant.
Yeah,
brilliant.
It's been consistent atmosphere. The Italians know how to get an atmosphere.
It's a shame that it wasn't the same for the Wales game, but
no, it wasn't.
It was quite biased in that way.
Budapest has been number one.
Number one.
It should be. To be fair, they should sack the final from Wembley. They should take the final away from England and put it to Hungary. It's maximum capacity. It's a beautiful city. I can say that comfortably because I've been to Budapest. It's one of the best cities I've ever been to. Beautiful country, amazing people. The stadium's fantastic. It's an atmosphere. It's played at very good climate for any team that competes. And another thing as well, the only thing is it's similar to here. The media bullshit. That's the only problem. It's the media bullshit. But it's a brilliant stadium to play
Park Hen in Denmark, where this game's currently being played.
I thought it would have been a flop because of the size of the stadium.
Unbelievable amount of passion.
Amazing.
Fantastic. I actually wonder if like one of the Copenhagens are probably in the Champions League next season because that stadium for me is a Champions League stadium. So amazing.
I'll tell you what's been a decent stadium though. Which one was it? The country. In terms of like an actual game to watch, the stadium in Baku, it is a beautiful stadium, but the problem is, like we've all said, the atmosphere. I don't think there was one there.
It's like because
they're so far away from the fans, but it's such a brilliant stadium to like watch football be played on.
Seville's been terrible too. The pitch has been terrible. The atmosphere has been terrible. The fans are far away from the pitch. The game was.
To be fair, though, that was a last-minute move.
It was meant to be meant to be a Bilbao, but COVID restrictions.
Because Bilbao is like a really small region, and it's really hard to travel to there as well. It's sort of nestled into the valleys of the Basque region, so they had to get it somewhere that they got good travel links and everything. But personally, I would have had it at Sevilla's ground or Betis's ground instead of their sort of like athletic stadium that it's in.
You know where I would have played it
for football.
You know where I would have played it?
Go on.
The Mestalla, Valencia Stadium.
Oh yes,
Valencia Stadium, the Mestalla. It's one of the best. It's for me one of the best stadiums in Spain. Like the only ones that are better than it is the Wanda Metropolitano, the Bernabeu, obviously, but that's ineligible due to the new one being built. The Nou Camp, fantastic stadium. To be fair, Villarreal's stadium's nice.
It
but
is.
I think just such a good atmosphere though has to be the Mestalla. I would have loved to have if they'd chosen the Mestalla.
Have you got anything to add on?
I'm just having a look where Baku is on the map.
Azerbaijan.
If you're but if you're driving from the furthest east, because it's not even Europe. Let's get this right, because this is how corrupt everything is here. It takes you 29 hours to drive from Istanbul, which is the furthest east part of Europe. 29 hours to drive east of Istanbul to get to Baku Stadium, and this is how. This is just how corrupt it is, you see, because if you've got the right friends and if you've got a stadium, you built a stadium, you want to make money from people coming in, and it's like you give leave a stuffed envelope on an office floor in Nyon in Switzerland, and suddenly you get awarded a few games, and you end up making a few million, and then you leave another stuffed envelope, etc., etc. Because it's like I don't know. I mean, this is the corruption that we all sort of see through, isn't it? It's very, very transparent. Yeah. Like, I don't know anything, but I know that that's probably something similar happens. You know what I mean?
But especially with Qatar on its way next year.
But we do.
Yeah. I mean, and we just have to accept it, don't we, as fans? I'm going
to play the controversy alarm here, but I actually think the format of the Qatar World Cup is going to be better than this monstrosity.
What is the format? Why?
Well, it is in one country, but everything is really close together, like all the stadiums and everything. But it might be the cost and everything, and going around Christmas and having to move the games.
Why are we playing a World Cup in Christmas? Like,
exactly.
Why are we even suggesting to play a World Cup in November, December?
At least they're actually. The sad thing is at least they're. The sad thing is they're playing it in a country where, like, no disrespect, it shouldn't be there in the first place because there's so many things wrong with it, and that's not stereotypical or prejudice. That is literally based on what I've seen daily reports in the news, especially with the amount of people that have died building these pathetic stadiums. Like, it's like a couple of thousand people, I believe. But
a few of them are temporary as well, so they're just going to be taken down.
Human rights issue, exactly. Helsinki does well, the human rights issues. But the biggest thing for me, at least they've actually taken players' considerations into it, because even though it's going to be played at Christmas time, at least it's going to be a safe temperature to play football at. But it's still pathetic that it's happening midway through a domestic season programme.
Let's remember that AFCON's also is in January too. So we'll lose Mendy. We'll lose Mendy. Liverpool
I've heard it might be off. I've heard it might be off. There's been no guarantees. There's been no guarantees that it would be going on. There's a lot of COVID still in Africa, so I think you might have to bide your time and actually watch updates for that. But as far as I'm aware, I have heard that it is off as it stands.
The only thing they could do is if they do like an isolated arenas where it's only the players and match officials inside, like what they've done with Project Restart. But that would be horrible for especially because African fans, like we've all seen them watching their games. Their atmospheres are fantastic, especially the Ivory Coast, South Africa, Nigeria, Togo. They have amazing atmospheres.
But we need
World Cup 2010 as well.
But we do need to move. Yeah. We do need to move on. So there you go, Nathan. You got 33 minutes of ranting, and I hope that's you.
Can I I'd get something else in quick, if that's all right, because this is a main bit about it. Well, that's one of them. But if you, when I was looking on Twitter after the game, I was really disappointed with how some of the fan base reacted to it. In particular, I want to slam some members of the Cardiff fan base, which I never do often, and a lot of the members of the Swansea fan base. And that is bringing the club rivalry into the international game once again. I don't know how many times that I have to say this. Keep club football out of Welsh international football. I know a lot of us can't sit next to each other even at international games, and the Swansea fans set up their own little standing section in our away end. But you still don't go back and forth at Wales fans accusing each other of saying, oh, it's Harry Wilson and Kiefer Moore's fault and their embarrassments in the national team or whatever I saw. Or, oh, I'm so happy that this is all over that I don't have to watch Cardiff players ruin it for our country and stuff. And the same thing for in some cases when we keep going on about Connor Roberts, some Cardiff fans. Just keep it out of the game. Back all the players, regardless of what club they're from. I don't care if... I mean, we had it in 2016. I don't care that Ashley Williams plays for Swansea. He was amazing at the France European Championships. I'd support him all the way. Yes, I didn't support him until the comments that he made about Cardiff straight after, but I still supported all the Swansea fans going forward. Just any Wales fans watching this, keep club football and your opinions out of international football. Rant over.
True. Right. I mean, every time
if you want to add anything into it, guys, then be my guest, because that really annoyed me.
No, I completely agree with you, because going back to like the Scotland games, like when Andy Robertson and Kieran Tierney were playing for Scotland, or even like the Celtic players, as soon as they put on a Scotland shirt, fair enough, unless you're Scott Brown, you get no exception. But like, I will give them the benefit of the doubt, like through a tournament or through qualifiers or anything like that, I will do it. But after that, as soon as you go back to club level, the hate's back. Like, it's just, that's personal, and that will stay that way. But see, like the Man United players that are playing for England, I hope they get battered tomorrow. I will say it again. I hope the Man United players that are playing for England tomorrow get fucking battered. And then they come home and win the league for us next season.
We will move on because there's still a couple more games we need to talk about. We'll move on to Austria, giving it their all, but Italy's depth and power was too strong for the Austrians in the end. Doug, I had Italy to win 3-0, and I thought Austria were going to be a flop. But Austria, credit to them, they really, really give the Italians a run for their money.
I was very impressed with how Austria played. I think we've look. I think the thing is about this championship is we've actually kind of underestimated a couple of teams, and Hungary was one of them. I don't think anyone expected Hungary to play the way that they did in the championships. But Austria, I thought were very, very good against Italy, and unlucky to not go through. Obviously, there were a couple of chances as well. That was nearly 6-3, but good save by the keeper there. I was actually very impressed with the way that they actually played. They actually defended very, very well. It took a wonder goal from Chiesa. I mean, Chiesa was fantastic when he came on as well. I think Lorenzo Insigne needs to look at the offside flag, how to actually do the offside line, because he was straying offside so many times from what I can remember. But to be honest, I mean, Austria and Scotland's group, they're no mugs. They gave us a very tough game at Hampden Park, and I think everyone probably expected them to maybe not get out of the group, but they actually done a very, very good job. And I think Italy go through, and I'm actually praying to goodness that they beat Belgium, because Belgium are one of the most overrated sides I've ever seen.
So we will come on to Belgium, but see the Austrian manager. The Austrian manager was literally 99 point on to get sacked, but he saved his job with his tournament, hasn't he? They got the first win at the European finals. They qualify for the group for the first time in their history, and they give the Italians a run for the money. I think he saved his job.
100%.
Owen, what did you make of Austria? Do you think they were unlucky to not cause the biggest upset of the, or what would have been the biggest upset of the round by quite a mile?
Unlucky, I'm not sure. I think the Italians deserved it. I think the Italians missed Locatelli starting in midfield, but it was a very Italian performance. I think it was Gary Lineker who said that now Italy have started playing like Italy again. Because they were very dogged, and I don't think Austria were that unlucky as I remember. But this is just from memory. My memory's horrible. I'll just have a look at all the stats and stuff for you. But no, in general, I thought Italy deserved to win, but Austria deserved a lot of credit at the same time. I thought they were also resolute at the back. I thought Schlager, as well as having a fabulous name, he impressed me. In midfield, and they were good. They were good. They were, they could do with someone a bit, pacey in attack to link with Arnautovic and Sabitzer and those kind of things. They're lacking a bit, but full credit to them. They can, they've bowed out with their heads held high.
Reece, I know you're a big advocate of the Italians. There's not very many teams that have been able to win ugly so far during the Euros. There's only been 2 real teams, and Italy are one of them. They probably missed. I think they probably maybe missed Bonucci. Maybe missed Bonucci at centre back. Maybe Ferrari wasn't completely up to speed in the game. This probably just showed that Italy do have a bit of some attacking issues. Noble and Insigne are a bit hot and cold players for the international team, but to win an ugly game is never a bad sign, is it?
No, not really. I think any good team has to at times win ugly. It's pivotal in football. Like, at times you have to sacrifice your style of play to win a game. So I think the fact that they won it ugly just shows that the Italians are not to be messed with at this tournament. To be fair, if Germany don't win the Euros, I think it will be the Italians. I think it's one of those two. I can see Italy steamrolling Belgium, like this coming weekend. Like, I can see it happening. I just don't think It's scary for the Italians. The Italians can play Route 1 football, just like we saw with the French and all that against Hungary. They couldn't get past the Hungarian defence, so they went Route 1, long ball, and scored. Italy can go Route 1 without going a long ball. They can just go Route 1, just attacking you like direct, and then they can just beat you with pace. But
it also showed,
depends on the circumstance, though.
It also showed how good at least bench was, because the substitutes were the difference in the end too.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, like
the depth they have.
Exactly, Mancini recognises if something isn't going. Mancini recognises if something isn't going right for him, he will make a change, and he does it very well. Like it's why he's 32 games unbeaten as a manager. Sorry, 31 games. I'll correct myself. No, I was right actually. Funnily enough, I was right. 32 games. It says it all really why they've been unbeaten for 3 years, and it's because of Mancini's ability to get the best out of this team, and he's so tactically astute. I would be very wary of this Italian team going forward. I wouldn't be surprised if they're one of the top 4 favourites for the Euros for the World Cup next year as well.
Well, we will. We'll come back to it, but Nathan, I have a very important question. I've got a very important statement. Frank de Boer fails again, knocked out by the Czech Republic. Now, okay, yes, the red card made a difference, but even then, the Dutch were not particularly doing anything amazing. Wijnaldum was ghosting. Depay struggled. He made a weird substitution when they went down to 10 and he took off their best player, Malin, and brought on Promise, who literally, I don't even remember him touching the ball. Frank de Boer, it's hard to blame maybe Frank de Boer on this, okay, because yes, they went down to 10 men. Rafa Stilic kind of mucked it up, but it doesn't look good on him, does it?
No, it doesn't. I mean, Frank de Boer, we all knew he had tactical experience of just a bowl of ready Breck, didn't he? We've known this for years. We saw it at Crystal Palace. We're seeing it at times with the Dutch national team, but I mean, you could literally have not watched a game of football and you could still win with that Dutch team with the absolute quality in there, regardless of who the manager is. But, I mean, Czech Republic, they're a really great team. Patrick Schick, unbelievable for them. You've got the likes of Koufal, Souček as well, who are constantly in effect in that team. But I don't know why people going on so much about Turkey when they should have been going on about Czech Republic. I always knew that they were going to have a strong tournament, and I knew it was going to be a disaster for the Netherlands, but I could see it coming. I could see it coming, Czech Republic beating them. And to be honest, Frank de Boer, they need to get him out of there as fast as they can.
Doug, do you think the Dutch would have had a better chance if they had 11 men the whole game, or do you think Frank de Boer was just tactically found out with the 3-5-2 and because Czech Republic were pressing them high and the Dutch struggled to play their game?
The one thing you do not do when you've won a game of football against North Macedonia playing the 4-3-3 is to change it again and go 3-5-2. I thought that was absolutely ridiculous management from Frank de Boer immediately. And look, I think the De Ligt red card, I mean, look, it's a clear red. I was amazed the referee gave a yellow to begin with because you could quite clearly see what he was doing. Yeah, people could say, oh yeah, Schick fouled his man, but you know, he was falling over. So for me, I just the one thing about the Dutch, right? One thing about the Dutch is that they've gone from a very, very good manager in Ronald Koeman to a manager who has literally been a failed Crystal Palace manager, a failed Inter Milan manager. Like, why go to Frank de Boer? Like, is probably going to lose his job now because of what has happened at this tournament. Look, Holland were very good in the group stages. I'll give them that. Defensively, they've not been great, but to have the audacity to go from 4-3-3 to 3-5-2, I thought was absolutely ridiculous, and that is the reason why they've been knocked out. Fair play to the Czechs, because I thought the Czechs took advantage of some really, really slack play from Holland. And Patrick Van Aanholt, I think that's why he's not at Crystal Palace anymore. With defending like that, absolutely shocking defending.
With defending like that, he wouldn't get into the Livingston team, put it that way.
Owen,
exactly.
Owen, does Frank de Boer survive after this?
I was just looking at his history. I don't know how he keeps getting jobs. I really don't. I mean, the teams he's managed, he managed Ajax youth and then Netherlands assistant, going back all the way back to 2010. From 2010 to 2016, he was the Ajax manager. He had some. Yeah, and he had some success with Ajax, not so hard in the Netherlands, and then he moved to Inter Milan because Mancini it was who left the job just days before the season started, and he was awful. So he just had from the start of the 2016-17 season until November, where he was just found out he didn't speak any Italian. He just moved there. He lost to Chievo. He lost to Palermo. Little teams like that. That he got found out and sacked. Then he somehow landed the Crystal Palace job. You know, what are you going to do if you're a Crystal Palace boss? I know, Frank de Boer. I don't know what goes on in these people's heads. It's weird. And so he was rubbish at Crystal Palace, and he got the sack there. And then he went to Atlanta United. Now, don't get them confused with Atalanta. It's an American professional soccer club based in Atlanta, Georgia. And, you know, I don't know how successful he was there because it's the MLS. I don't think it even matters.
I think he was pretty disappointing there because the thing, if you don't watch MLS...
they were defending champions until the board turned up.
And then he just completely ruined it. It's because they have a special philosophy there where they tend to go for these younger players and look around North and South America. Unlike the other teams who usually go for much older and sort of players who are coming to the end of their career or younger American players, and he completely messed it up. And they've been they haven't been.
He was as bad a flop as Ruud Gullit was over there.
Mm.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, like some people, but you can just sort of tell, can't you? I mean, it's like Danny Murphy, BBC commentary. You know when
so like I don't
He's just so bad, and the way that he talks about football. Okay, he played hundreds of games in the Premier League, but it doesn't make you smart. It doesn't make you intelligent enough to dissect the game and to actually analyze a match. And Frank de Boer just reminds me of one of those professionals who's marvelous experience, brilliant player. I remember him as a player; he was an unbelievable player, but just it doesn't really translate into like intelligence. Roy Keane. Slating João Felix after his performance yesterday. I mean, what are you on about, Roy Keane? It's like you can tell these people they're wonderful players, but they fail as managers because they're just not very bright.
That's why I like listening to Micah Richards, because the way he speaks, it's so unbiased and it's so good. It's so good to watch. You know who actually I'm surprised has never once been considered for the Holland job, and I haven't seen him in management. I haven't seen him in management in 13 years, so I don't know where he is now. Frank Rijkaard. Why is he never? Why is he never once been considered for the Holland job? He was fantastic at Barcelona until he got sacked. The man plays the style of football they want, and he gets it out of his best players. Just a few wee stats
here about Frank de Boer. He has not got a win percentage over 60.08. At Inter Milan, it was 35.71. He had 14 games, 5 wins, 2 draws, and 7 losses. At Crystal Palace, he had five games, 1 win, which I think was probably in the League Cup, and 4 defeats. Yes. That was a win percentage of 20%. That's shockingly bad.
A lot of people thought he was brilliant at Ajax as well. I'm like, yeah, fair enough, it was their first league title in 7 years, but PSV were terrible in that season. Alkmaar didn't challenge them. Feyenoord were weak. Like all he did was change Daley Blind from a left back to a defensive midfielder, and then he ran the league by 25 points.
Exactly, and not only that as well. Where did they get in Europe? I mean, they ended up crashing out of the Champions League every season, and even if they finished third in the group, then they still capitulated into an absolute disaster.
And also, Holland are not doing very well in their World Cup qualifying group right now.
They are shocking. Shocking.
I'm going to ask Stephen a question, all for you. I can't wait to see your faces here when I ask Stephen this question. All right, this question's amazing. Nathan, if Mike McCarthy got sacked, are you taking Tony Pulis or Frank de Boer?
Stop it.
That's like asking.
That's cruel.
That's like asking me. That's like asking me as a Rangers fan, would I want Neil Lennon as manager or Henrik Larsson?
Paul, if you're still in the chat, when you are still in the chat, because you just said something there.
I think I'd have to go for Tony Pulis.
Tony Pulis to reflect.
Wow.
The only reason is because he's Welsh, and I think he would actually have passion for the job. But I know he'd end up
Tony Pulis, who has the most. I mean, it's not even anti-football. It's probably.
Fuck knows.
He kick lumps out of people and obviously hoofball. Honestly, I would not want. There's a few managers in football I do not want in football ever again, and that is Roy Hodgson,
Steve Warnock.
That is Roy Hodgson, Tony Pulis, and Sam Allardyce.
Stephen Warnock as well.
The crazy thing with it as well is that out of all of the Welsh managers you can think of, you could say over the age of 55. The only one that has never held the Wales job is Tony Pulis. That's your reason.
I'll tell you this though. I got asked the other day. I was on one of Richard's streams. It was last weekend, and I got asked a question that, to be fair, I gave an immediate answer to. I got asked if Steve Clarke got sacked, would I have David Moyes as Scotland manager? And in a heartbeat, I said yes.
Yeah, I would as well.
Easy.
Because we would, funnily enough, if David Moyes was the Scotland manager, he would play a 4-2-3-1. He would play attacking players, and we would steamroll a few teams. To be honest, we would probably beat the likes of the Faroe Islands 5-0 convincingly, rather than draw with them all the fucking time.
Right, from one field manager to potentially another, is Santos to blame for Portugal's exit at the Euros?
No.
He's been heavily in the Portuguese papers. He's been heavily criticised for being too defensive and not letting the team play to their full potential, and he was holding this team back. Yes, he's won the Euros and the Nations League, but his squad has grew and he has not adapted, and he looks like he is going to be sacked. But is he to blame for his negative ways?
I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this now, and I've seen a lot of people sort of scapegoat, obviously Diogo Jota and obviously Bruno Fernandes. Can I just say, Santos's tactics did not thrive for Bruno Fernandes. He is not a number 8. If you keep playing a 4-3-3, Bruno Fernandes is not a number 8. Now, look, Jota for me had an okay tournament. He didn't have a particularly good tournament, but if you actually look at Fernandes, no wonder he was dropped. He's not a number 8.
He played 83 games in a row before he got dropped. The man deserved a rest.
Yeah, but I think Santos's tactics of trying to play him as a number 8 have completely backfired.
I think as well with Portugal, they're very top heavy in certain positions as well. Especially, you can find when I've been watching them going back compared to in 2016, they look quite vulnerable in some areas as well. I don't know whether that's lacking depth in some areas or it just doesn't work with the chemistry of who they're playing with. But I think there is a lot of egos in that team as well.
Yep.
Ronaldo, Fernandes, Jota, Ruben Diaz, João Felix. Yeah. There's so many different egos and who think they are the best of the team, and they are I run the team and you're just a squad player who's just wait a bit.
That's exactly why England won't
win. Same problems as England.
I'll ask you this, Doug. Right, Santos won the Euros 5 years ago with an average Portuguese team. His tactics back then was what it worked and what he needed to do. He went out low to Hungary in the round of 16 at the World Cup, which was seen as a terrible result. He then won the Nations League, and he went out to the round of 16 against the Belgium team, but were absolutely awful against Portugal yesterday, and Portugal should have won. Portugal should
for years.
If Portugal played, if Santos set that team up like he did in the second half and the first half, they won that game comfortably. Does he deserve to be sacked, or does his history let him get away with us?
I think he was unlucky. I mean, I think at the end of the day, it was a goalkeeping error. It was quite a big goalkeeping error that let in Belgium's goal. And yeah, exactly. And it's one of those things in football, I think, is you just get sometimes you just don't get the rub of the green, and they didn't get the rub of the green. Diogo Jota had a very decent opportunity, he skied over the bar. Yes, Santos, I mean, he does have some incredible talent. I mean, João Felix is straight from the sort of 1950s with his sort of, or 60s with his sort of, number 10 profile. Bruno Fernandes, as you say, he's not an 8, but he's a 10. So you've got two really, quality number 10s, but who plays a number 10 in international football? When most of the time, like Wales found, with Aaron Ramsey and Bale sometimes playing in a 10, depending on the tactics, it's quite easy to drown them out with midfielders. And, it's like slow and steady usually wins the day in international football. But
doesn't Griezmann play as a 10 for France?
No, he's more, he comes in off the side. He's more like an inside channel kind of player rather than a number 10.
He sets there, but he drifts out and stuff.
I've just seen the France team. Rabiot is at left. Rabiot is at left wing back. Interesting. I personally think he'll be like a Rabiot in headlights.
Yeah, we had a very interesting conversation before we went live, and we were all like, "What the hell is he doing playing as a left wing back?"
Very interesting that the Champs change. Just as you said there about how France were playing 4-2, how Dutch played a 4-3-3 and switched to 5-3-2. The Champs just doing exactly the same by switching from the 4-2-3-1 to a 3-5-2, or 3-4-2-1.
That does not make any sense whatsoever.
The one thing he's doing with it though is I think he wants.
He's trying to match Switzerland, because Switzerland play 5 at the back too. He's just trying to match them, I think.
If he wants to match Switzerland without changing the system, he can match them with intensity. You could easily match with intensity. You don't have to change the system. I think it's a risky error putting a central midfielder out as a wing back. I think it's a costly error, and I think it could come back to haunt the French.
I don't have a banner, but are you guys okay? Just continue on a wee bit, because we might go into the France and Sweden game.
I will say this though: I don't think Santos is to blame for Portugal's exit.
We'll come back to Santos. We'll come back to Santos.
Parker's left Fulham.
Going to Bournemouth.
I don't know if anyone knows that.
Parker's left Fulham.
I'm just thinking about the amount of money that Bournemouth must have flooded in, because Fulham, you could say, it is one of the easiest jobs in the Championship with the amount of money that gets ploughed into that club. And I really want to know why he's going to what you could say a promotion rival. I think it's crazy.
Come back. We'll come back to Santos in a minute. But Belgium were awful.
Yes.
There's no other ways about it.
Thank you. Someone has actually said it.
I'm sick of calling them overrated.
Belgium, that whole game. Belgium did absolutely nothing that game. They created barely. It took a bit of a lucky shot, bad goalkeeping for them to score. Defensively,
I've just seen it.
Defensively, they were absolutely awful. They were exposed time and time again. This Belgium team are ranked number 1. They are still high favourites, but is Roberto Martinez seriously going to lead this team if they play like Italy will have fun with them if they play like anywhere against Portugal?
It's already going anyway.
Roberto Martinez is so overrated.
That's why he's going to be the Spurs manager.
The only thing he's done in his career is get what you could say is a fairly okay Swansea side from League One into the Championship, when they had some good young players. Apart from that, he's done nothing.
FA Cup win over Man City with a very shitty Wigan
group.
That's true.
Okay, I'll ask this, right?
I completely forgot about that.
Is Roberto Martinez to blame fully? Because if you look at, he doesn't have left backs he can pick from, so he has to play someone out of position. He has to play a left winger, a left wing back. That's not his fault. He's stuck with Thomas Meunier because they've got no right backs, Castagnio's not fully fit though. That's
Castagnio's out for the rest of the Euros.
The only thing is, if he's not
done his eye socket, I think.
The only thing is, though, if he doesn't want to, if he wants,
and he has to play free at the back. He has to play free at the back because of it.
True.
Yeah, but then again, look at the options they have for defence.
Wing backs. He could play a system without wing backs. It's easy. Like, managers are so fucking thick these days. Like, it's so they're so thick that they don't know they can play a game without wing backs. But they're like, nah, we'll play wing backs anyway.
If Belgium were to go for far in this tournament, is it going to be the Kevin De Bruyne and Lukaku show, or is it going to be Roberto Martinez actually getting things right?
Well,
No,
apparently
it's
De Bruyne's
It's
injured.
going to be Lukaku carrying them.
What do you call it? A reliable Italian journalist said that De Bruyne and Hazard have no injuries and are okay for Italy. That's confirmed. No issues with them.
What I will say about the Denmark team, Belgium team, that everyone just bats an eyelid to, is look at the defense. It is so slow. It's so old. And it needs some refreshing there, but the thing is, there isn't much quality coming through, so that's always going to cause them issues compared to their absolute Lamborghini that they have up front with all those amazing players going forward.
Just to answer BBL,
Hazard is a liability. Personally, I think Eden Hazard
20 years ago
I mean, he was always sort of, overrated in the sense that he had, like, I don't know, one good season for Chelsea. I don't know, you'd know more than me, Josh, but he had one or two good seasons where he broke into double figures for goals. But
before he left for Real Madrid.
One season. Yeah. And that was it. And apart from that, I mean, someone said if football was played without goals, then he'd be one of the best players in the world.
I'm going to be
has goals.
I'm going to be slightly controversial here. Eden Hazard was an absolute disgrace in that 2015-2016 season. He literally did not try for Chelsea. I don't care what anyone says. He only had one decent season. And it was that decent season, I think, in 16-17, and then obviously he got his move. And
I thought he was I thought he was good for Mourinho's title-winning season, like the 14-15. But I get your point. I think he did.
He downed tools. He downed tools. He got Mourinho. He wanted Mourinho gone. You quite clearly say it.
Are you saying that in the Conte second season he stopped playing for Conte because Conte was very demanding of him. Conte wanted him to do defensive work. He wanted him to press. He wanted him to track back. He wanted him to be in this position, which Hazard does. He doesn't like pressing and he doesn't like defending.
He's a lazy wanker. If a manager asks you to do your job and you're the best player at the club and you refuse to show any sort of appreciation for the manager, then frankly you should be fucked off. The fact that he's managed to get 130 million for him is exactly like Liverpool like stealing 11 for Coutinho. Like, it's pure genius, but like, for fuck's sake, like
146.
It's ridiculous, really. But in terms of Hazard, 2015-16 season, he was an absolute muppet. He did do this though. He beat Spurs, but the man down too badly, and like the fact that he showed up in Conte's first season when he was given the license to not defend, he was just an attacking machine. But the following season, he showed no appreciation for the work for Conte done. He could have got Conte's team out of the group stage in the Champions League. You could have got out the group if Hazard turned up, and he didn't once.
So just before we move on to probably probably one of the best topics. Just to answer this question that's on screen, Doug, do you think Santos will be a Portugal manager at the World Cup next year?
100% no.
Nathan, do you agree?
No, I highly doubt he will be.
I think he will be the manager. Yeah.
Owen?
I've just got to say, I've actually got to duck out now, unfortunately, as well. So this will be my last thing I'm going to say. But yes, Santos, he's going to be really unlucky to get the sack, but I think he's going to get the sack.
Well, thank you very much for joining, and hope you enjoyed the rest of your
thanks, everyone. Thanks, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I hope to be back one day if you'll have me back. But thank you, everybody. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you all. Cheers, guys, and thanks to the listener.
Cheers, Owen.
Bye-bye.
It's good to see you, Phil. Have a good one.
Right, so here's my final point to all of you. All right, and this is an interesting one because this is kind of like a big talking point about before the ball's been kicked. Will it be a failure if England or Germany don't make the final? If whoever comes out of victory has a very favourable run-in compared to the other side of the bracket. So would it be a failure if England or Germany don't make the final?
Massive.
I would say it's more failure for England than it is Germany.
I'd say more of a failure for Germany because I think that England fans just don't realise
They're not good enough.
They're not good enough. I
honestly believe on paper and on a football pitch, Germany are 10 times better than England.
Yes,
and that's not just pure bias of Germany fan.
I would agree with that, but I totally disagree on the more failure for Germany. Look at what Gareth Southgate's inherited with that England squad.
That's a good point.
This squad should be
world champions
on paper, making the semi-finals finals. If they go out at the round of 16, then questions have to be asked, because England have been so underwhelming this Euros. I would even say Germany have been underwhelming this Euros as well. So tomorrow's a very interesting game, but I think it's more failure for England under Southgate, because he's inherited such a very, very good squad. You look at the Germany squad. Yeah, it's not a world-beating Germany squad, but it's a very, very good squad. But the England squad, for me, is better than the Germany squad.
Here's another thing as well. Joachim Low, every time he's got out of a group stage, he's always got the semi-finals at least.
Yeah,
Joachim Low has never failed to get at least to the semi-final stage once he gets out of the group.
Paul, yes,
he is so good in knockout format, group stage format, hair him, scare him. Everything else, phenomenal.
Knockout football.
Paul, you're right about Denmark, but at the same time, Germany and England still have a far superior squad to Denmark. It still should be beating them.
I'll tell you this, right? See if this is what's going to happen, right? See if Germany are going to beat England, right? But see if Sweden get through. I think Sweden will knock out the Germans and Denmark will win the Euros.
Really?
I think that Ericsson factor, only if Germany fail to get past that.
You can not have said it any better, Paul. That is
I think Ukraine are beating Sweden.
Right. So regarding team news for England,
I said it, Doug. I said it, Doug. Ukraine are beating Sweden.
Right. Regarding team news, right, Doug. Regarding England's team news, would you start Harry Maguire? Who's obviously had that injury, hasn't played, and Jordan. There's a lot of reports Maguire and Jordan Henderson is going to play. Is that naive from Southgate, given these guys aren't up to date, or do you need to throw your experienced leaders into this game regardless of what their fitness might be?
I think for the magnitude of this game, England-Germany, I think it's been very, very good, the Rice-Phillips partnership. I think it has been very, very good. But I would say that Declan Rice will be dropped, and I think Jordan Henderson will come in and play alongside Calvin Phillips, because I think Henderson experience is going to be so key. And as far as the other question is concerned, I think Maguire will start with Stones at the back. Funnily enough, I actually think England will make a couple of changes tomorrow, and see if Gareth Southgate does not start Jack Grealish, hell is going to go.
I've already heard from numerous English officials and sources. The front four tomorrow is going to be Kane, Mount, Foden, Sterling.
Remember, Mount hasn't played. Mount's not been in training because he's been in self-isolation for 10 days. So
he's still being tipped to start on the right hand side tomorrow.
What an idiot! Saka was fantastic against Czech Republic. What an idiot, Southgate! What an idiot!
Reece, from a Germany POV, right, there's two questions for Lucky. There's 3 questions for Lucky Low.
There's probably 5 to be honest, but go ahead, ask your 3.
There's 3 ones why I can start. 1, does he play Kimmich at right wing back or CDM?
Me personally, tomorrow, you guys know Toni Kroos is my favourite German player, but tomorrow I would drop Kroos. I would play Kimmich and Goretzka tomorrow in midfield.
The second thing, Matt Hummels, should he start or should he be on the bench?
Personally, I believe he should start, but he should have Klosterman at right wing back.
Good option.
And then
cover him off with pace.
And then the final question is, does he start with a false 9 and Gnabry, or should he get Timo Werner in?
Timo Werner should start for me. There's no way.
Don't play a false 9.
Gnabry shouldn't play tomorrow. Gnabry shouldn't play tomorrow. He's been misfiring in the Euros. If you're going to play a false 9, play Havertz and play Sané and Werner in wide positions, or you play Havertz, Sané, and Werner's a front three. See, personally, if it was me, I would go 4-2-3-1 tomorrow. I would go Klosterman and Gosens as the fullbacks, Rudiger and Hummels as the centre back pairing. I play Kimmich and Goretzka together, or in fact, I would play I would play Kimmich and Goretzka together. I'd play a front four of Werner up top on his own, Havertz on the right, Muller through the left, through the middle, and I'd play Sané on the left wing. That's what I would do against England. I would go 4-2-3-1.
Hi, Nathan. What's your prediction for the game tomorrow? Is England going to be knocked out, or is Lucky Lau going to go out on a low?
I think, and I'm going to be bold here, it's going to be a repeat of 2010. It'll be either 3-0 or 4-1 to Germany.
I knew I liked this game.
Doug, do you agree? Is the Germans going to give England a teaching lesson in their own backyard?
Going to be the same result from 96. England 1, Germany 1. Germany win on penalties.
And Reece, they're going to be bad
PTSD again.
Reece, how bad is she going to be?
In all fairness, right, I'll be wearing the black shirt because it'll be Black Heart German tomorrow. But in all fairness, I think it's going to be a tight game. But what I will say, if the Germans play the way they did, how they played, if the Germans play the way they did against Portugal tomorrow, then if I was an English fan, I would be sitting on the toilet shitting out a lot because you are going to get... If Germany play like they did against Portugal, they play the same way tomorrow, England are fucked. But what I will say this, and I will be fair to England, even though I absolutely cannot stand the English national team. If Germany are relentless with their press tomorrow and they batter England left, right and centre, but they don't penetrate the English defence, which to be fair can happen. They struggled to penetrate the Hungarians until they brought in Goretzka in midfield playing in the Michael Ballack role. If England sit really well tomorrow and they hold the Germans very well against that press, they can cause Germany problems by counter-attacking them. That's the only way I think England are going to get something, is if they counter-attack, because they do not dominate games. England don't impose themselves. But in all respect, I think it's going to be 2-0 Germany.
Interesting. I actually have a question for everyone. Say if England lose tomorrow, and I don't know whether this is going to happen or not, but Gareth Southgate gets the sack, who do you think will be the next England manager?
I think it'll be Graham Potter.
Well, that'll please the football hipsters.
But I don't see him getting the sack. I think he will be in the job until Qatar.
He's getting a new contract. He's getting a new contract. He's getting a 3-year contract regardless of tomorrow.
I've heard that. Just very quickly, I've worn this T-shirt because obviously Sweden are playing Ukraine tomorrow, so it's a Swedish chef.
I've got two questions, two final questions for you. And this is one's from the Euros and one's away from the Euros. Just
why are they playing at 5 o'clock tomorrow though?
Okay, first of all, Nathan, for all of you, starting with Nathan, what's been your favourite Euros moment so far? If it's Wales or not Wales related, if it's your favourite game that you've watched as a neutral or something.
Christian Eriksen surviving, that's got to be one. But Wales moment, it's got to be us beating Turkey.
Doug, what's been your favourite Euros moment?
Can we say like OGs? Because there's been 9 own goals. There's been 9 own goals this tournament.
Nothing tops that Uni Simeon own goal.
I'd say Christensen's goal against Russia, because the amount of just the amount of relief after that game. It was a fantastic strike from Christensen. But it's just the manner of the goal, because like Russia were on the attack, and you just had this sense that Denmark were going to get another goal. So for me, it's definitely Christensen's goal.
And Reece, what was your favourite?
My favourite moment was Mr. Gosens himself tearing the Portuguese defence apart. The way Gosens just ripped that team to pieces was phenomenal. But I agree with the mention of Christensen, the fact that it beat 3 defenders and the goalkeeper. The Eriksen moment. I'm going to put it out there as well. Yarmolenko's goal in the second game. Yarmolenko's goal against Holland for me is a standout. But one moment I think I'm not too impressed with I'm going to throw it out there because I'm a controversial human being. One moment I'm not impressed with was Gosens sitting on his arse in front of the French net when it could have been 1-1 Germany-France.
Right, and my final point to you is obviously, even though we are in the middle of the Euros, obviously our beloved football clubs are still doing their transfer business, still working away. So if I know Cardiff are working quite heavily in the transfer market. I think you've signed 2 players, I think, or if I remember right.
Ryan Wintle, and we're also after Robbie Brady as well.
But how you feel about Cardiff?
The big one is Gareth Bale.
Well, how you feel about the Cardiff transfer activity then so far?
We usually end up doing business last minute, but so far I'm sort of happy with some signings.
Why did you have
McGuinness as well?
I know how that feels.
Josh McGuinness.
Mark McGuinness from Arsenal on loan. Good signing.
Why did you let Joe Bennett go?
Injury and he's out till October.
You're getting someone from Wolves as well. I don't know if I sent you that link yesterday, but
you did.
I can't remember his name.
I'll get it up now. 2 seconds. Yes, Ryan Giles. It looks like he's going to be the Joe Bennett replacement, but Joe Bennett's got a long-term injury. He's in his 30s now, I think, as well. He's on quite high wages, so we really need someone to sort of fade him out and bring someone in with. But I think he's going to stay at the club, just not on contract while he recovers from the injury. But we got Joel Bagan there as well, but he's still recovering from an injury too. So I think Ryan Giles is a great one to bring in on loan as well. Good, proven young player there. Mark McGuinness, really great for he's been great for Ipswich on loan in League One. He seems to be a really good centre-back on loan. And then Ryan Wintle, one of the best League One free agents. He looks good as well. But Gareth Bale's favourites come to Cardiff, even though it seems completely ridiculous rumours. Anything can happen. Craig Bellamy, Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank, Robbie Fowler.
Doug, when he's sending Mbappe, Len? Apparently that's what Liverpool are doing these days, or sending Mbappe.
Look, the Mbappe rumours are ridiculous. That's never going to happen. Like, honestly, I don't get where these rumours are going to come from. There's no way we're getting Mbappe. Liverpool are not a club that pay for these mega stars. You can be a Chelsea, you can be as soulless as Manchester City getting Grealish and Kane, but Liverpool are not like that. Manchester United have been mulling over 2 to 5 million more for Sancho. Like that. Like there's another thing from Fabrizio Romano. It's still in the final stages. That transfer has been the longest transfer saga since Wesley Sneijder. It's ridiculous.
Is there any transfer talk, where you bring people in? The only thing that I know of is that Shaqiri's leaving. That's the only thing I've heard from Liverpool camp.
Yeah, Shaqiri looks like he's on his way to Lazio, which I think is a very smart move. Obviously being reunited with a couple of ex-Liverpool players, and obviously Lucas Leiva, Pepe Reina, and obviously Luis Alberto. I think he'll suit Sarri's style of play as well. As far as incomings, Daniel Malen seems to be progressing. I don't know if that'll happen, but this week, but that does look like it's going to potentially go through. Neuhaus looks like that could be potentially getting done as well, but it's just about getting Deadwood out of the club as well. I wouldn't class Shaqiri as Deadwood. I think he's been a very good servant for Liverpool Football Club, but unfortunately he's just not what we need at the moment. So I think you'll see a few incomings very soon. I think you might see outgoings as well. I have heard Harry Wilson to Benfica is potentially going to be completed as well.
I fear that's on a permanent as well, but it's just a question of whether he wants to do it, and I think that could be detrimental to him. Because I know he does it well. He wants to be in and around Premier League, even Championship, and personally, I think an abroad move for him is going to really lessen his potential.
I did hear something earlier today that apparently Swansea and Cardiff are both looking at Neco Williams, potentially for a loan deal. As far as I'm aware, I don't think it'll be a loan deal. I think it'll be a permanent. I think he'll probably be leaving for around £10 million. I think Leeds United have been mentioned, Aston Villa have been mentioned, Burnley I think were mentioned, Newcastle United were mentioned, I think, for Neco and Nat Phillips, and there's somebody else. Norwich I think was another one as well. So I don't see Neco Williams moving to Cardiff or Swansea.
Yeah, especially if the Premier League clubs will pay the £10 million for him. But if it's a permanent move, then Swansea are out of the question because they won't be able to afford it. But it's just the question of, well, if somehow the rumours are true about a certain player coming to Cardiff, then that Neco Williams deal's off the table, quite frankly, even though Bale's not coming to Cardiff. I'll put it out there now. But you never know, obviously, with the odds, but I don't know. It's a mess. But yeah, I think he'll be better suited if he goes to a Premier League club.
And Reece, to finish it off with you, Fink has already Doug's already kind of took the words out of the mouth for both of us here. I'll ask you this, right? So this Sancho deal is going to happen, all right? It's the longest transfer known to man. Do you actually feel excited about it anymore, or is it just like hurry up and just get it done?
I don't know what to say, really, because it has been going on for so bloody long that it's an absolute nightmare.
Just look at that GIF. It's been 84 years.
Yeah, it's been that long. I've literally just been reading an article by Jamie Carragher, and I think he's absolutely spot on. He actually spoke about the over-exaggeration of the Germans' weaknesses. Like, it's brilliant that the fact that he's basically told the English fans to actually calm their jets because it's over-exaggerated, and he's completely spot on. Like, probably the first time I'm ever going to agree with that, man. Probably won't again. But in terms of the Sancho deal, it's just it's long on, long enough. Oh, who scored?
Switzerland or Leighton? Switzerland lead.
Oh my goodness, yes they are.
Haha, fucking
holy
amazing, amazing.
Right, well, what I will do here is I'll wrap the podcast up so we can all focus on the game ourselves, because I don't want to keep anyone hanging back, not switching up to the lead. So thank everyone for watching the podcast. Everyone's links are in the description below if you want to check them out. If you're new to the channel, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Thank you again for 100 subscribers. The Q&A special will be out. Keep an eye on my Twitter for all the details. You're more than free to ask whenever you want. And I said, enjoy the rest of the football. It's been a crazy one tonight, and let's hope it continues to be. Enjoy your evening, guys. See you later.